Good evening, I'm Jeff Koinange, and this is Jeff Koinange Live at Citizen Television. You know, if it's Wednesday, it's all about JKL. Tonight, my guests, two young, sober, smart, forward-thinking legislators. Kibra Member of Parliament Ken Okoth and Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja. They'll be in the House very shortly to talk about the way forward. Again, I said, two young, sober, smart minds. If you want noise, flip stations now. We're talking serious business. We're going to be asking you the question, are these two, Sakaja and Okoth, what you or all of us consider the future of Kenyan politics, despite the fact that they are on different sides of the political divide? Simple answer, yes or no, with your comments and thoughts. SMS number 22422. You can tweet us at Koinange Jeff, at Sakaja Johnson, at Ken Okoth, and of course, at Citizen TV Kenya. The hashtag, as always, is JK Live. And JK Live begins right now, tonight.
Street protests resume next week, opposition says, as Jubilee scoffs at NASA resistance plan. 5 people die in yet another traffic smash-up near the Salgar Black Spot. Students bear the brunt as university lecturers strike yet again over unimplemented CBA. And laboratory tests rule out Marburg and Ebola outbreak.
All right, welcome to the broadcast. Our sign language interpreter is Douglas Okaya. Now, the National Super Alliance, NASA, says it will begin a fresh wave of street protests next week. NASA CEO Norman Magaya says a full list of products to be boycotted by NASA supporters will be released this week as part of activities to force electoral reforms and another presidential poll. But as Sam Ogina reports, Jubilee leaders have scoffed at NASA's plans.
After a brief lull in protest, the National Super Alliance is planning yet another wave of demonstrations from next week. This part of the opposition's plan to push for another election.
We will continue to assemble, demonstrate, to picket, and to present petition to public authorities as often as we choose.
The coalition insisting it does not recognize Kenyatta's victory in the fresh election held on the 26th of October. NASA CEO Norman Magaya says the new wave of protest will be well planned and executed to avoid confrontations and violence that has led to loss of lives and destruction of businesses.
As we speak now, training is ongoing for protest marshals. We have retained services from civil organizations on peaceful assemblies and protests, who we intend to ensure that they guide our people accordingly. So you're going to see largely huge crowds of protesters, but very peaceful.
A strategy that has been dismissed by Jubilee.
So if you imagine that you can use violence as a means to political power, the same violence shall consume you.
There is a creeping culture of violence in the political process that we all must be aware of.
And by the end of this week, NASA is expected to release a list of products and shops to be boycotted by supporters for allegedly associating themselves with the Jubilee government.
It will be objective, and we will show the links that each of these business entities have had either in compromising our quest for a free and fair election or how they are facilitating this dictatorship. So it's not going to be arbitrary.
There are 40 million Kenyans who will sustain your enterprise. We have overrated some people in this country. It's time we call it their bluff.
Businesses that display the president's portrait are also on NASA's crosshairs. Although it is not mandatory to display the president's image in a business premise, many traders do so in what some have interpreted as a show of patriotism.
Any business entity that has that portrait, you avoid it as part of the tools of resistance.
The CEO reiterating NASA leaders' stand that they would not challenge Kenyatta's victory at the Supreme Court. President Kenyatta, as well as observers, have urged anyone dissatisfied with the election outcome to seek remedy in court.
And whoever is going should not be seen to be a proxy of NASA. I can speak as the Chief Executive Officer of NASA. We have no intention to retain a proxy. I think we have demonstrated the immense ability to pursue matters in court in our own name where we believe it's the right thing to do.
Jubilee leaders have, however, dismissed NASA's call.
In fact, in 1997, he did say that fresh elections must be held within 21 days. Well, it came to pass, those 21 days passed and no election was held. In 2007, it was exactly the same script. In 2013 is the only time that he didn't come up with that script.
NASA strategists are already meeting to plan the activities of its resistance movement. It plans to establish a task force in the People's Assembly in a majority of the county assemblies by the end of November. Sam Ogina for JKL.
All right, thank you, Sam. And in his first public presidential function since he was declared victor in last week's repeat election, President Uhuru Kenyatta toured a primary school in Nairobi where he assured that the integrity of KCPE would be preserved. Kenyatta spoke with KCPE candidates at Westlands Primary School and expressed the government's commitment to providing quality education. Wilkis Nyabwa was there.
As we ponder over the next few days, my first preoccupation, as it has been for the last few days, is with our 1.6 million young people who have spent 4 to 8 years preparing for their secondary and primary school exams. The future of these children should not be disrupted regardless of our political concerns. And my commitment is to ensure that even as we await the final political outcome, that our exams will continue as scheduled and that the future of our children is guaranteed.
And 2 days after he was declared the winner of the repeat presidential election, President Kenyatta set about making good his promise. Tuesday morning, and the Standard 8 pupils at Westlands Primary School in Nairobi received a special surprise. A visit from President Kenyatta and Education Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i after a contentious election, Uhuru turning his attention to the candidates sitting their national examinations this month, vowing to ensure that the exams were conducted in an orderly and fair manner.
We have done everything that we can to ensure that your exams are going to be done in an orderly manner, in a transparent manner, so that every single child in Kenya has an equal opportunity. And the only thing that stands between you and your future is your heart.
Uhuru promising that the pupils would be rewarded for their hard work.
Starting next year, so long as you have done your best, are we clear? Yes. Each and every one of you will find a place in secondary school.
These are people who are passing the exam today.
Across the country, government officials were deployed to pay similar visits to schools. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Willie Bett toured Kapkuto Primary School in Nandi County, sharing words of encouragement with the pupils.
The intention is to transition as many pupils from primary school to secondary. The intention actually is to transition 100%. And to transition 100% is to ensure that they also get to know that their government cares for them.
In Garissa, security was beefed up in the regions bordering Boni Forest and Somalia to ensure the security of the candidates sitting the exams. Out of the 5,272 candidates registered, just over 1,300 are refugees from Dagahale, Hagadera, Ifo 1 and Ifo 2 camps in Dadaab. There are 168 examination centers across the county, and last week a section was cut off by heavy rains that rendered roads impassable. Garissa County Commissioner James Kianda now seeking to reassure candidates and their parents that all examination materials had been dispatched on time and had arrived at even the farthest corners of the county.
Along the border, any examination center that is near there, examinations have also taken off. And arrangements have been made to make sure that we secure the exam material from the start of the exam up to the end of the exam.
The over 1 million Standard 8 candidates started the day with a science paper and are set to complete their exams on Thursday. The written Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations are scheduled to begin on Monday, the 6th of November. Wilkis Anyabwa, JKL.
Thank you, Will Kister. Now, at the same time, learning for over 600,000 students in public universities has been disrupted once again after lecturers began a nationwide strike over non-implementation of a collective bargaining agreement signed earlier this year. The strike visits more inconvenience on students whose learning has also been interrupted by the two elections. Hassan Mugambi reports.
An all too familiar song among university lecturers, this time round signifying yet another industrial action in as many months. WASU Secretary General Constantine Wesonga saying the Dons will take nothing less than the implementation of the collective bargaining agreement that was signed in March. The announcement was made soon after the union's National Executive Council met and approved the strike early Wednesday.
This is because of the violation of the 2013-2017 CBA that was signed between the University Academic Staff Union and IPUCCF. I want to tell our members, wherever they are, to leave or to down their tools forthwith. I want also to say that the strike is on, and let the strike bite.
It is the third time that lecturers are going on strike this year. This following a love-hate relationship with the government over their demands for a pay rise. The CBA agreed upon and registered in court prescribes a 19% pay rise in the basic salary of the lowest paid assistant lecturer from 69,794 to 83,598. A lecturer will take home 99,409 Kenya shillings, up from 83,361 Kenya shillings, while a senior lecturer will enjoy an 18% hike from 94,215 to 112,038 Kenya shillings per month. An associate professor will also register an 18% rise from 112,956 to 145,441 Kenya shillings.
5 universities implemented the new rates. Later on, 2 universities out of the 5 reverted to the old rates of 2010-2013. 26 universities have blatantly refused to implement the negotiated new rates.
The universities that heeded the call to implement the new rates include Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Chuka University and Machakos University. Earlier this year, the government released 10 billion shillings after lecturers went on strike. The amount was used to settle arrears, according to the union. Hassan Mugambi, Citizen TV.
All right, thank you, Hassan. On to some sad news. And 5 people have died in a 6-vehicle smash-up near the Salga Black spot along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway. The accident involved 6 vehicles, among them 3 private cars and 3 lorries. Makori Ongechi brings us the details.
This is the scene of the grisly road accident that left 5 people dead at the notorious Migaa Black Spot near Salga Trading Center along the Nakuru-Eldoret Highway. According to Rongai OCPD Joseph Kioko, the accident occurred after a driver of a 14-seater matatu stopped to pick a passenger. The 6 p.m. accident involved 3 private cars and 3 trucks. Police have since launched a manhunt of the driver of the matatu, who fled after the accident occurred. All the vehicles were heading to Nakuru from Eldoret town. 3 other people sustained minor injuries and were rushed to Nakuru Provincial Hospital for treatment. The area has claimed several lives since the beginning of the year. Makorongechi, JKL.
Thank you, Makori. Now, in other news, tests by the Kenya Medical Research Institute have ruled out an outbreak of the deadly Marburg virus in Kenya. At least 2 people were suspected to have contracted the disease after a patient crossed into the country from eastern Uganda, where several cases of the hemorrhagic fever have been confirmed. Fears of an outbreak arose after a patient from Uganda sought the services of a herbalist in Bwai, a remote village in Trans Nzoia County. The herbalist soon fell ill, with reports also indicating that her patient had soon died. Tests of blood samples taken from the woman have, however, tested negative for both Marburg and Ebola, which exhibit similar symptoms. The government has issued a surveillance alert for people crossing from Uganda. Trans Nzoia County Medical Superintendent Dr. Emmanuel Wanjala now says there is no cause for alarm.
Mwalimu alisomesanga hapa ng'ambo na anakuja hapa ati mama, asa ngine mtu mwingine alikuja hapa wewe natibu. Mimi nasema pana, mimi ni mgonjwa. Mimi mgonjwa tena nitibu mgonjwa mwenyewe. Tisina ni tena hakuna mtu ya kuletea mimi dawa. Tena wapeleke wapime ndio wanirudishie nifanye.
We are monitoring this. We have a website that I gave some of you yesterday, the Promet, which you can also access on your smartphones. Promet gives you an update. It's giving us an update on Marburg as it is in Uganda, in that Queen area, the way it is. So there's no cause for alarm. Remember, this disease, I think if you are telling the public, it comes about when you get in contact with body fluids from the cases.
All right. At the same time, several people missed death narrowly after an explosion occurred in a residential area where they were allegedly making counterfeit soaps in East Lee, here in Nairobi. Police say the premise, which is registered as a retail shop by the Nairobi County government, was being used to make several fake brands of bar soaps. Detectives also recovered documents indicating the owner also operated a registered company. A man identified as the company's owner was taken to Pangani police station, where he recorded a statement to help police in their investigations. According to the Kenya Anti-Counterfeit Agency, the country loses more than 70 billion shillings to counterfeit goods annually. Still in Nairobi, and police here are investigating an incident in which the husband of former Nairobi woman representative Rachel Shebesh is alleged to have shot himself in the leg. Here's that and other stories by Nancy Nalima.
Last night, Mr. Frank Ambundo Shebesh, husband to former Nairobi woman representative Rachel Shebesh, allegedly shot himself in the left leg during a safety precaution routine in his Nairobi home along Dennis Pitt Road in Kilimani. Police have recorded statement from Mr. Shebesh as they launch investigations on how he shot himself in the thigh. Shebesh is admitted at the Nairobi hospital with a bullet lodged in his leg. Elsewhere, the Election Observation Group, ELOG, today released their finding on the just concluded repeat presidential election. According to ELOG, many of the issues raised before the election were not effectively addressed, and as a result, Kenyans went into the fresh election in a cloud of uncertainty, tension, and apprehension. The observers said the election was also characterized by violence that led to deaths in various parts of the country.
We think work needs to be done. Whether that speaks to the legitimacy of the process or not, we cannot comment. We can only give you what we observed, and others can draw conclusions around the legitimacy, because that depends on where you're sitting. because it is clear that we have a problem, which is why we feel it is important to have a national dialogue, regardless of the situation.
Rift Valley legislators are calling on their supporters to maintain peace and quell rising tension along Kisumu and Kericho. Speaking a day after fresh flare-ups were reported in the area, the Jubilee allied MPs say they are reaching out to their counterparts in Kisumu County to preach peace along the border. At least one person has been killed in 2 days of fighting along the border.
We cannot accuse one person or the other, but we want to say let every person, every leader carry the responsibility to ensure that we don't see that violence again.
Whether they are in Awasi, whether they are in Kipsitet, whether they are in Koru, we are asking them to open the roads to business. It is for the benefit of all of us when business goes on.
Relative calm has returned at the border following deployment of a contingent of GSU officers. Nancy Nelima, JKL.
All right, time to take a break now. Coming up, a bit of business news and sports, and then my guests tonight. Kibra, Member of Parliament Ken Okoth, and Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja. They'll be here very shortly discussing the way forward, the future of Kenya politics. Are they, in fact, the question we're asking you, are these two gentlemen what we call the future of Kenya politics, despite the fact that they come from different sides of the political divide? SMS us your answers, 22422, or you can tweet us at Koinange Jeff, at Johnson Sakaja, at Ken Okoth. Hashtag JK Live. And do we have any numbers so far? Oh yeah, we do, Monica, thank you. So far, 67% of you say yes, they are the future of Kenyan politics. And 33% of you say they're not. So 1/3 to 2/3 so far. Not bad. Keep it coming. At Koinange Jeff, at Johnson Sakaja, at Ken Okoth, at Citizen TV Kenya. Hashtag, as always, is JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.